Well, our top story today from thegatewaypundit.com, instant regret hits Bernie Sanders as Joe Rogan interview backfires spectacularly. We're talking about this story and so much more here on the Gateway Pundit's Week in Review. My name is Elijah Schaffer, and this is the Gateway Pundit's Week in Review, where we cover the top 5 stories of the last 24 hours. Our top story today, instant regret hits Bernie Sanders as the Joe Rogan interview backfires. Listen to this. It's not every day that a major politician sits down with Joe Rogan, but Bernie Sanders did, and now we know why most skipped the invitation. Bernie pushed the global warming narrative, and Rogan crushed him with an undeniable set of data. And it got worse. Rogan made Sanders instantly regret saying we should tax the rich more. Then Rogan questioned the government's monopoly on power, which left Sanders scrambling. You can watch it unfold below. Listen to this.
You know, you remember there was a day where somebody actually owned General Motors or owned Ford. Mm-hmm. They're now owned by Wall Street firms. You got 3 Wall Street investment firms. BlackRock, you're familiar with BlackRock. They're
Vanguard and State Street.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Check it out on Google. They are combined, the 3 of them combined, are the major stockholders of 95% of American corporations. How's that?
That's not good.
That's power.
Right. How did that start, and what could have been done to stop that from happening?
Well, I think it's greed. These guys are smart. They're hardworking. They're motivated. They want more and more. So if I can buy this, I can buy this, I can sell this.
Right, but they're all doing it within the law, right?
Yeah.
Right,
but,
which is that the problem?
Yeah, but who makes that law?
They do.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's fine. Well, unfortunately for Bernie Sanders, he couldn't really predict the fact that he would get so much pushback. Listen to this, though. There's another interaction, and they talked about Musk. Tell me what you think about this.
As a result of the Citizens United Supreme Court decision, I think it's 15, 16 years old, what it says is you're a billionaire. You have now the constitutional right, because your money is your freedom of expression, right? So you don't like Bernie Sanders? You can put millions or hundreds of millions of dollars into a campaign and express your view about how terrible Bernie Sanders is,
right.
And you can buy that election, right? That's your constitutional right. I think that's probably the worst decision that the Supreme Court has ever made. So what is the result of that decision? The result of that decision, let's take us to where we are today, is that Elon Musk, and I know Elon was on your show, and he's here in Austin, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, and we could talk about Elon, but he spent $270 million to elect Trump as president. Okay, I think that's absurd that any one person.
What's the most someone donated towards the Harris campaign?
They spent a lot of money on Harris as well.
They spent $1.5 billion just
combined
over the course of a couple of months.
You got it. All right, let me talk about it. So
yeah,
I'm not here just to say it's a Republican. That's my point here.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so it's kind of interesting because, Rogan obviously is pushing back on him. You know that Sanders is deflecting, as he always does. But then they get into talking about Joe Biden. Listen.
Are you going to run for president again?
I am 83 years of age.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure the American people will be enthusiastic on somebody's 108.
You're still very with it.
Thank you.
You are.
Well,
I mean, you're a couple years older than Biden.
Yeah.
Right? Think of that.
Yeah.
You could be off a lot worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So obviously Joe Rogan is pushing back on him. He doesn't really know what he's talking about. But then, more importantly, they start talking about Bernie's strong opinions. And as we talk about this, listen to what he had to say.
You got to deal with this climate change issue. And I know that, there are some people who think climate change is a hoax. It ain't a hoax. I think the last 10 years have been the warmest on record. And we can create millions of good-paying jobs transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency, to solar, to wind, and other sustainable energies.
I think the climate change issue is very complicated. And I think, did you see the Washington Post piece that they wrote? Where they did this long-term view. First of all, the reality is that the Earth's temperature has never been static, right? We could both agree on that. It's always been up and down. There's been ice ages and heat waves. And then the Washington Post looked at it. What was the time period that they looked at? That essentially they found that we're in a cooling period. That the Earth over the past X amount of years And this was like a very inconvenient discovery, but they had to report the data, and kudos to them for doing that. Scientists have captured the Earth's climate change over the last 485 million years. Here's a surprising place we stand now. So look at the far end of that graph, and you see we're in a cooling period.
Well, I'm not sure. No, I didn't read that article, but
Yeah.
the scientists who are out there, I think.
I know, but there's a lot of money involved in that too, Bernie. That's part of the problem. There's a lot of money involved in this whole climate change emergency issue, and there's a lot of control, and that's a big part of this problem.
So the pushback continues, right? And obviously he's in the hot seat. But as we talk about that, don't forget that we are witnessing a generational decline in men's testosterone levels due to lifestyle choices, diet, and exposure to environmental toxins. Now, this decline can result in persistent fatigue, diminished strength, reduced libido, mood swings, and an overall loss of vitality, keeping you from feeling like your best self. Take control of your vitality with Man's Edge from Neutronics Labs, the natural solution to support healthy testosterone levels. Man's Edge is more than just a standard booster. It combines powerful ingredients like fenugreek, IGF, NO2, and more to help you feel your best. Studies show that fenugreek increases testosterone levels by up to 46%. Plus, unlike traditional powders and pills, Man's Edge offers up to 98% absorption, ensuring that you receive the full benefits of these clinically proven ingredients. Even Frank Stallone has made it a part of his daily routine. Join Frank Stallone right now and grab yourself a bottle of Man's Edge, which is men across the country are rediscovering their vitality daily. Sign up on the AutoShip program. That's key. Sign up on AutoShip, save 50%. That's buy one, get one free on AutoShip. Reclaim your lost youth and energy. Visit the link below now or go to tboostnow.com, or you can visit the link on the screen, ElijahIGF1.com, ELIJAHIGF, the number 1.com. Use promo code Elijah and get an additional 10% off. It's kind of a great deal. Make sure you get it and get your testosterone back so that you can get your libido, your energy, and your strength back where you want it. That being said, it also turns out that the conversation went in a different direction. Listen to this.
You remember there's a photograph, a very famous photograph. I don't know when it was done, 50s, maybe 60s, 70s, I don't know, of the tobacco industry executives coming before Congress. And
Yes.
you remember that photograph?
Yes.
And the congressman said to him, tell me, I maybe get this a little bit wrong. Mm-hmm. Are you aware that cigarettes kill people? No, Congressman, we have no evidence to that effect, right?
Right,
They were
exactly.
lying through their teeth.
Of course.
All right.
Yeah.
And it's exactly, your analogy is exactly right. These food manufacturers know exactly that they are causing obesity and God knows what else in kids, leading to diabetes. They know exactly what they're doing.
Right.
And they're lying. And they're opposing all of us who are trying to, among other things, make our food supply healthier.
Yeah, they are.
He's starting to get uncomfortable. You can see that, right? But where it really got crazy was at this point. Check it out.
The people who own that technology and the corporations who utilize that technology are becoming phenomenally richer, right?
Exactly.
All right. And
Exactly.
that is the issue, which gets back to things like tax reform, like making sure that in America we do not have the massive levels of income and wealth inequality that we currently have.
But the problem with that is the taxes go to what? An incompetent, corrupt government? This is the issue that people have. It's
Good,
like,
fair
yes,
enough. All right.
willing to pay our fair. Look, I'd be more than willing to pay more taxes if we lived in a better country. I'd be like, this would be great. If I felt like if I pay more
then
taxes,
your job is
everybody's surviving, everybody's doing well. That's
Good.
great.
All right. Then that is the issue of how you revitalize American democracy.
Right. So you do see that this is getting pretty tense, and there's nothing we could really do about it. However, of course, Rogan always welcomes his guests with grace, and they did have this interaction.
I'm not going to argue with you that the system today is pretty bad. All right, I live it. I'm going there today.
And ironically, it's bad because there's no competition, right? It's corrupt, but it's not a free market. Like the government itself has a monopoly on governing. And when they're completely corrupt and when they're making insane amounts of money through taxes and they're not accountable.
No, all right, no, I don't. No, this is the way I see it.
I'm not. But by the way, I'm not advocating for making it privatized, making all of government privatized. I'm just talking about the realities of corruption in our current
but
government
let's
system.
talk about what we mean by corruption. I do not believe, by the way, because I know these guys. Some of them are corrupt.
Let's say
in the money
incompetent
sense.
and waste.
Okay. All right, let's
take. We could take fraud out of the equation and just talk about incompetency and waste.
Is there waste? You got it. All right, but let me back it up again.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, look, you can watch the whole thing on YouTube, but what we can see here is Sanders wasn't ready for that kind of pushback. He wasn't ready to be challenged on his views. And the spectacular interaction is once again a reminder of why Joe Rogan is the #1 podcaster in the world. Now, if you like these stories, reminding you today was 5 videos instead of 5 stories, you can follow our series, The Week in Review, every single day nearly on thegatewaypundit.com. My name is Elijah Schaffer. Have a great rest of the week. As always, and may God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.